Let's explore whether equanimity is your Buddha nature. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question of a meditation student on Reddit who wrote quite succinctly, "Equanimity, is this what it means to have Buddha nature?" And so I'd like to answer this question in two parts. First, exploring Buddha nature, and then exploring equanimity, or as I like to pronounce it, equanimity. It sounded like Mitch Hedberg, a late comedian I thought was very funny. So this whole Buddha nature thing, what if it wasn't mysterious? What if it wasn't mystical? What if it was merely an Iron Age way of describing things that we now in the Silicon Age can explore because of our profoundly more effective imaging technology? So let's do that right now. The seventh and eighth folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path are mindfulness and meditation. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system, ensconced not within the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears. It is found in the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It evolved to support neither extreme of mind blanking nor concentration, but instead to simply notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. It evolved to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. It also evolved to notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. What are we to do with all that which we notice? Enter the parasympathetic nervous system. It too is found in the spinal cord, specifically in both the lower lumbar region as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. And it evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So whatever life throws at us, we notice and we release, and that is how we process. Now, for those of us who didn't have the good fortune to learn mindfulness and meditation, for those of us who learned concentration and contemplation, who experienced the dark irony of our blood collecting at our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression, which made us really cranky. However, when we replace concentration with mindfulness, when we replace contemplation with meditation, that blood mass shifts from our cranky amygdala to our loving anterior cingulate gyrus, located just at 2 or 3 centimeters behind our forehead. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. And so, what is our Buddha nature? It is the neurological architecture which makes noticing, letting go, and loving our biological birthright. So now that we've understood what Buddha nature is, now let's explore it within the arena of equanimity. Do let me know if you can hear me now, Kevin. So we can view equanimity through a literal lens or a figurative lens. Let's begin with the literal. If our worldview is rigid, or the worldview of our teacher tends to be rigid, and most of them are, then we will have a rigid view of equanimity. We'll be very buttoned down and very locked in, and we will force ourselves to suppress both the desire and the dread. But in striving to do so, all we're going to do is squelch and repress our own mindfulness, the first of the 7 enlightenment factors, and that never works out well. You see, my friends, we have evolved a sophisticated survival protocol, a survival instinct that's older than Homo sapiens sapien, that's older than the great apes, that's older than the mammals. It's very, very old. And so, if an organism wishes to live long enough to pass on its genetic material and must recognize dangers and move away from them and recognize assets and move towards them. But, my friends, what if equanimity was never supposed to be literal? What if it was always supposed to be figurative? Because let's face it, all languages on this earth have a figurative component. All complex life forms on this earth evolve to think symbolically. So let us view figurative equanimity on 2 levels. The basement level would be this. What if the liberation that the Buddha offered us was not liberation from the presence of our dreads and desires, but rather from the tyranny of our dreads and desires, where we can feel cranky without being cruel, where we can feel sad without killing ourselves, where we can be happy without being utterly insufferable. But wait, there's a second level. And what if this applied to spiritual practice? When we practice the equanimity that is we see in the ancient Dzogchen meditation manuals, we find that the equanimity is this, that we apply the same contemplative response to all phenomena. That when we experience the dreadful, we notice and release. And when we experience the delightful, we notice and release. And when we experience the neutral, you guessed it, we noticed and released. And so that is the balance that is referred to by the sages of yore. Whew. So I look forward to answering more questions as well as chanting and meditating with y'all after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible. I gotta push the right button, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Now, before we skedaddle over the text, I'm going to commit a war crime and subject you to Jumbo Face. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. Jumbo Punham. Here we go. Prepare to haunt your nightmares. So, good old James asked, my question tonight is, has anyone ever used enlightenment for evil? Thanks in advance. That is an excellent question, James. Of course, I expect nothing less than from you. You have a good heart and a keen mind, and you are a source of good questions. Forgive me, the sinuses are having a hoedown. My sinuses are having a hoedown, so please forgive me if I look like the great Kretsky. So, can enlightenment be used for evil? That's an excellent question. The first thing is, we're talking about the appearance of enlightenment or actual enlightenment. So, I will refresh your memory or recall to your memory the ancient Greek fables collected by Aesop of the wolf in sheep's clothing. Such things are found in Vedic literature, in Taoist literature, in the literature of every culture. We see the wolf in sheep's clothing. So, even in one of my favorite movies of all time with Johnny Depp, Kevin, let me know if you've seen this one, Sleepy Hollow, a Bible black villain. Remember that? How he described his daddy? So there have always been Bible black villains, even before there was a Bible. There's always been Bible black villains who use the appearance of piety as license for monstrosity. Oh, thank you, Kevin. I'm not sure what this means. Let's celebrate their third super on a live stream. I don't know what that means, but let's continue. So yes, there's always been people who use the appearance of piety as license for villainy. It is tragic, yet consistent. In fact, I was so used to that growing up. I was so used to that in literature and in cinema that as a child, when I was 12 years old, preparing for my bar mitzvah, when I first saw, in 1977, when I first saw Star Wars A New Hope on the big screen, and I saw Obi-Wan Kenobi as holy man, as hero, it blew my mind in a good way. So now that we've explored the superficial, now that I've answered the question superficially, let's answer it from a deep level, which will also be probably annoying. Can one use true enlightenment to do evil? Or, if I want to be really silly, evil. That would depend upon your definition of enlightenment. If enlightenment is some state where you've been lobotomized and you no longer feel emotions, well, that might describe the experience of what used to be called a psychopath. I wouldn't call that a Buddha, but that's just my opinion. If you define enlightenment as simply mastery of the Eightfold Path, of getting so good at impermanence and wishing love and kindness, kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce, so good at effortless effort, mindfulness, and meditation that you practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively, if that is how you define enlightenment, then by definition, one cannot be deliberately cruel. One can act in a way that one might accidentally step on another's toes, but that's not malicious, that's an accident. And most adults can tell the difference between that, all parties included, present company included. There's a huge difference between deceit and being sincerely incorrect. There's a huge difference between accidentally hurting someone and maliciously wounding another. Huge difference. So when we are dominated by the impulse to be kind, then the thought of being cruel, of being deceitful, of being manipulative, of exploiting others makes us physically sick. It makes us very, very sad. So, no. So, someone who has truly mastered the Eightfold Path will not be evil. Now, can someone with the best of intentions fail to meet someone's needs in the way that they want their needs met? Yes, we all have a controlling streak. And we all have an inner critic. And sometimes, we might hear something that's beneficial to us But we don't want to hear it. Not this time. Not in this way. You should have said it that way. In fact, one of the inside jokes of psychiatrists and psychologists who make their living evaluating whether people are autistic or not is an autistic person, such as myself, when taking tests to determine whether autistic, will declare, "This test sucks. I can do a much better job of writing a test." It's universal. There is a little Sheldon Cooper in every autistic. Hello. So, and no, not everybody is autistic, but we all have our little perfectionist. We all have our own little superior critic that says, "I can do a better job. Instead of saying it this way, you should have said it that way. Clearly you suck and must die, die, die. You must be fed to the xenomorph slowly. You must be asphyxiated by replicant ash with a magazine." So, let's see here. Oh, good. I love that. That was the first DVD I take it back. That was the first DVD I ever owned was Sleepy Hollow. But you know what? It's a good question. You sound like a man who's determined to master the path and help people. And that is a beautiful thing. So here's a quasi answer to a question you asked not too long ago. When people enthusiastically followed my advice, they can rapidly master the Buddha's path. Not everybody wants to, and that's okay. That's a prerogative. I find the idea of judging others to be exhausting. So that's it. The path I teach is super simple, super easy. It's been practiced and mastered by many people before me. And this is important, don't make the mistake I did. In my youth, I squandered so much fear and I indulged so many of my controlling tendencies, chasing titles. When we have mastered the path, mastering the path has nothing to do with the labels others adhere to our foreheads, metaphorically speaking, or the labels we cling to ourselves, sometimes with white knuckle intensity. If anything, it's about being laid back and groovy. It's been said the recipe for failure is to believe your own press, and the recipe to multiply the neurosis of a thespian is to read their reviews. We're human, and we're going to feel the full spectrum of emotions, including curiosity about what others think about us, including curiosity about what we think about ourselves. That's natural. That's normal. But as long as it defines us, then we probably haven't mastered noticing and letting go. Way back in the early 80s, an aging woman who I think was part American Indian, she told me something which is cliche, but it was new to me at the time. She said, there's a difference between a bird flying overhead and a bird making a nest in your hair. So emotions come, emotions go. Thoughts come, thoughts go. Those are birds flying overhead. When we are obsessed about our identity and how others view us, that's a bird making a nest in our hair. When we feel that way, we can notice it and release it. And that's hunky-dory. And if it keeps coming back, that's fine. It can come back 1,000 times and we have something. We never have to worry about boredom because we can always notice and release our neurosis. And that's great. That's fun. That keeps life interesting. When we are, so it's kind of like this. Think of it this way. Ninjas do the most harm when we don't see them or hear them. Once you see a ninja, well, then you're on equal playing ground. A ninja is not known for their martial skill. They're known for being sneaky bastards. Similarly, our own neurotic drive for profound self-esteem and the respect of others harms us most when we are oblivious to them. However, the more you practice mindfulness, the more you become painfully aware of every filthy McNasty in your heart, mind, and body. And just knowing them makes it possible to release them. It's not our job to chase them away like an angry grandmother with a broom. And all of us have angered our grandmothers. That's not our job. Whatever comes, we let it come. Even neurotic thoughts. Whatever stays, we let it stay. Even our own greatness. Whatever goes, we let it go. Even our own foolishness. It's not our job to control what comes or stays or goes. It is our job to allow ourselves to notice and release vulnerably and passively and viscerally and randomly. I hope that helps. Oh, and now let us check the time. It is 6:32 and I have been blathering on for 32 minutes. Let's meditate. This archetype is known in Sanskrit as Avalokiteshvara, known in Tibetan as Chenrezig, and known in English as kind gaze. The wise view this archetype as simply, the wise view this individual as an entity to be supplicated and worshipped. So, wow, let's try that again. The foolish view this as an entity to be worshipped and supplicated. The wise as an archetype to be emulated. You, my friend, are utterly welcome. We're going to play with the mantra a whole hell of a lot, so let's review its meaning together. Om, I invoke the wish of ending money, jewel of love, and the purifying beamy lotus of letting go, supplicating with whom may love and letting go be mastered by all. Let us practice energy work now that we might train in bliss and letting go. As we breathe in, let's silently and mentally recite this italicized bit. Lama, come to this crown. Here, the brass figure represents our enlightened potential, our Buddha nature. This red figure represents literally the teachings and figuratively the experience of energy coalescing on or above our head together. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. James, please do not beat yourself up. You are allowed to feel anxious. You are a caterpillar in the chrysalis becoming a glorious butterfly. The very fact you may at times feel a bit neurotic and controlling about the journey to enlightenment is because you want to do a good job and you want to help people. It's because you have a good heart. James, that's a wonderful problem to have. Well done, you. Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani mimi yung. Kevin, you demand. Thank you for your generosity. Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani mimi yung. By the way, while we're here, let's take a closer look at this brass image. The folded legs remind us that we are wired to master awareness and letting go. The two outer arms remind us that we are wired to master love and letting go. The two inner arms remind us that we are wired to master bliss and letting go. The fact that this figure has only one face reminds us that all things, beings, and phenomena have the same taste of non-graspability that we sample every time we relax to our exhalation. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And during each exhalation, let's silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Let us train in the outer set of preliminary practices. Those who tread that path of Devadatta use the awareness of stress to frighten folks into an analog of morality. But upon this path of the Buddha, the awareness of other stress fuels for empathy. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. Those who tread that path of Devadatta use the awareness of causality to frighten folks into a form of moral code. But upon this path of the Buddha, the awareness of interdependence reminds us that our love can lighten others' loads. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. Those who tread the path of Devadatta use the awareness of impermanence to promote a fear-driven practice, although upon this path of the Buddha, the awareness of change could fuel our wisdom of letting go. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. Those who tread that path of Devadatta use the awareness of the preciousness of our meditation opportunities to frighten folks into neurotic diligence. But upon this path of the Buddha, we joyfully flow from the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. As we inhale, please silently and mentally recite sitting tall, that we might remind our body to generate a vertical traction between our tuchus and our head. During our exhalation, please silently and mentally recite relaxing. And now, the inner set of preliminary practices. In our empathy, may we long to free all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and confusion. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. In our pragmatism, may our liberation of all others be fueled by our reliance on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students, described by the metaphor of the three wish-fulfilling jewels. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. Just in case I failed to mention it, yes, during every inhalation we silently and mentally recite the italicized bit, but during each exhalation we want to physically relax as best we can whilst striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. Rather than squander our time and energy and defensiveness, how much wiser could it be to learn from our mistakes and lessons that effortlessly flow from the centered spontaneity of mindfulness and meditation. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. A life squandered in competition and greed leads not to peace and fulfillment. Better to live in cooperation and generosity. Analyze and may this mind shoot out crowns and then offer all my stuff to all the beings of nirvana and samsara. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. During our next several inhalations, let us silently and mentally recite "Notice this," and during our exhalation, let's silently and mentally recite "Relaxing." Now let's perform additional energy work that we might train even further in bliss and letting go. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. If you've just joined us, welcome aboard. Every time we breathe in, we're wired to notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. But sometimes our brain gets in the way, unless we give it a job. What's the job we're going to give our brain? Hey brain, during the inhalation, please silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During our exhalation, we are wired to physically relax and mentally release unless our brain gets in the way. Unless, of course, we give it a job, such as silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax, during each exhalation. Having climbed to contemplative cruising altitude together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as General Organa upon Ajahn Kloss under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. Let us bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the conventional path of love and letting go, where it is love that is emphasized. Together, those who tread that path of Devadatta squander time and energy with contrivances of visualization, emotion, magic, and belief. Upon this path of the Buddha, we simply recite these words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. Together. May all minds of all beings now be as peacefully wise as the mind of a real Lord. Imagine Buddha symbolized by a tikle, one syllable seed or bija mantra. Om Mani Mimi Yung, 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 Om Mani Mimi Yung. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by the six-syllable mantra. One moment, I just had a fun idea. Give me a second here. Oh, do bear with me. Editing, it's so much fun. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyfully loving as real. Or imagined kind gazes communication symbolized by the six-syllable mantra. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. May all bodies of all beings know and enjoy the beautiful health seen in Buddhist art, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Devi or Yadam, an archetype of enlightenment such as Chen raising. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Oops, got a little ahead of myself. May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have the good fortune or boon, as kind gazes real or imagined paradise, pure land or body. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Let us view letting go through a physiological lens, let's hear this. Here we go. As we bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where it is letting go that is emphasized. Those who tread that path of Devadatta, caught in the thrall of rigidity, confuse metaphors with literal statements. Upon this path of the Buddha, we relax into flexibility, savoring the chants that explain the metaphors as similes. As we inhale, we can notice all minds, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel is not graspable or void is a real or imagined bija seedable of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could sound quite resounding. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as not graspable or void as a real or imagined mantra of light. Here's how to make the most out of our mantra. Here's how to transform mere mantra recitation into actual mantra meditation. During the inhalation, please silently and mentally recite this italicized bit, which is basically the synopsis of this long run-on sentence. During our exhalation, please physically relax as best you can while striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Please remember to give yourself a break. It's perfectly appropriate to have a learning curve. Play with this mantra once every 12 hours, and within a week or so, it could feel like old hat. As we inhale, all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as no graspable or void as a real or imagined octavo yet of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we inhale, all circumstances or lots could appear quite vivid. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable or void as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Now let us view letting go through a philosophical lens, bringing the illusions of the horizontal duality of us and them into the dance of impermanence and interdependence known as Madhyamaka's yoga of inconceivability. Also, it comes down to so lots could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into a rainbow light that could absorb into this body or form. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. All forms of bodies could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could absorb into this communication or speech. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. All interpersonal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could absorb into this mind. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. All minds could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could absorb into our vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on our bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although tantalizing to the eye could be non-graspable to the hand. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Let us bring the five body regions into the path of bliss and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever lower abdomen we might have noticed during our inhalation Could begin to feel does not graspable as real or imagine Namogasa syllable of green light. Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, what heaven evil we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as real or imagined as some suitable drum of gold light. Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever touch we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as real or imagined, not shobyaserable hung of blue light. Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever threat we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as real or imagined, unmeetable syllable tree of red light. Welcome to this evening's live stream. To transform mere mantra recitation into actual mantra meditation, during your inhalation, please silently and mentally recite this italicized bit, which functions as the synopsis of our previous recitation. During our exhalation, please physically relax as best you can while striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever chronoscope we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as real or imagined, Vadojana syllable of white light. Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani mimi yung. Thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, during each inhalation we are wired not to mind blank, nor to concentrate, but to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. However, our brain can get in the way unless we give it a job, such as silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Similarly, during each exhalation, our parasympathetic nervous system is wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Unless our brain gets in the way, of course, we've given it a job. And that job is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Well, that's weird. Let's see if we can't do a quick edit. Let us bring the 5 perceptions into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever such we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as our vast empty void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sound we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever scent we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever flavor we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sensation we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Let us bring the 5 mental poisons into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever hate we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as mirror-like wisdom's clear void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever part we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as the equalizing wisdom of primordial voidness. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever craving we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as descending wisdom's bliss void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever jealousy we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as all-accomplishing wisdom's void intellect. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Vi, of course, is a synonym for compete, or of compete. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever confusion we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as all-pervasive wisdom's awareness void. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Let us bring the five aggregates into the path of awareness and letting go. I'm pretty pooped and it's getting pretty late, so let's jump ahead. Let's transcend the illusion of samsara and nirvana's vertical duality by metaphorically inviting all the real or imagined Buddhas, their paradises, and their denizens to dwell in the 84,000 pores of our skin, thus practicing the body mandala of duality's awareness and non-duality's release. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Welcome to the conclusion of this evening's live stream. The easiest way to practice perceptive mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. The easiest way to practice releasing meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Let us seal this evening's practice with the love that wishes for the universal mastery of Buddha's Eightfold Path. May Holy Master change in wishing, love, as well as kind communication, conduct, and calmness. May Holy Master the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity, as well as mindfulness and meditation. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.